to play the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. And last night in Montreal, the Sabres dominated the Canadiens 8-3 to force a Game 7 in Buffalo. PGA Championship, the leaders are about to tee off within the next 20 minutes or so. Alex Smalley currently leads the round with a 2-stroke lead. There's a 5-way tie for second place, including Live star John Rahm. Take a quick look at MLB scoreboard. Red Sox already down 3-0 in the top of the second to the Braves. Orioles up 1-0 over the Nationals. And the Rays are up 5-2 over the Marlins. Sports Up headlines are brought to you by the Lobster Lovers Weekend at the 99. Order a colossal or hot butter lobster roll and get a free 3-course meal upgrade this weekend only. You gotta love the Nines. I'm Jake Seymour for Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Next update with Sean Sylver at 2 or 3.
This is what happens when analysts take over the game, take over the sport.
This is where you talk sports.
It happens all the time.
The Sports Hub. When it comes to Boston sports, we're fans just like you. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
That'll get me going here. He is the captain of this ship this afternoon. We're taking your calls, 617-779-0985. I'm on X for whatever that's worth, at the Sylver Fox, Sylver with a Y. I posted something on there the other day for like the first time in a while, and it was like, you know how it says how many views it gets? There was a time, I think we all know about this, there was a time on Twitter where it was actually like good and interesting on a day-to-day basis. I don't know when that stopped. Maybe for some people it got more annoying, than for others. But there's a certain point in my life where I love being on Twitter. And now it's like I'm only on there once in a while. And if I pop on and post something, nobody reads it, no engagement. It's just bots, man. It's just weird. But I'm there. If you want to reach out virtually, that's my public-facing social media account. Hey, Jeff.
Hello.
I don't even know the last time that we worked together. It's been a moment.
Yeah, it's probably Christmas, Thanksgiving?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, that's just what happens around here. Time just blows by. I mean, I don't even know if I felt like I was seeing Jake Seymour every weekend for a spell there, and now it's been 6 weeks probably since I saw Jake. But I want to catch up with Jeff a little bit. I'm wondering, did you check in on Rousey Carano last night?
Yeah, I did watch it.
Really?
That was a work. Total work.
Seconds. I mean, the WWE could not have done it better than Rousey Carano last night. I mean, I'm not going to use a gimmick, right, that belongs to someone else, but Joe Murray has the sniffer, right? I mean, any fight nowadays, whether it's boxing, combat sports, just in general, if the layman, the person who's not really into the sport, knows the names of the principals and knows them well, and they're like, oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember that person. I remember Gina Carano. Does anybody here remember when Hulk Hogan and Layla Ali hosted American Gladiators? That was a NBC reboot of American Gladiators in late 2000s probably. And Gina Carano was one of the gladiators, and I was just like, oh, yeah, she's an MMA. Yeah, now she's getting tapped out in 17 seconds and made some cool money for that, though. That's, whatever, you do you. I mean, if I could make a buck off of just
feeding your arm. Here you go.
Getting in really good shape, pretending like I'm going to punch somebody, and then just turtling and getting taken out. That was it. But yeah, it's all, Mike Tyson and, wait, was that Jake Paul? Which Paul was it? Logan Paul's the WWE.
Yes, it was Jake.
Jake Paul, similar sort of thing. Even going back to Mayweather McGregor. I don't remember when exactly that was, but I remember getting together with all my friends, like it was the old days. We're watching a big fight, and just whatever. I don't know. I had a few that night. I don't remember how many rounds that was. 10 rounds of just kind of, like a cat playing with with catnip, just kind of batting it around there. Nobody really getting hurt. Nothing really happening. So there you go, 17 seconds. And yeah, you got to admit when you're beat, right? You get it. You kind of get up and, you got me. But Carano gets up, 17 seconds, all smiles. All smiles. Hey, great job, Rhonda. You just nearly
check clear or what?
Nearly broke my arm, but the check cleared. Oh, man. So we had that last night. I mean, I love this time of year, generally. You know, like this increasingly warm weather that we're getting right now, I could kind of do without that. I can go for, some, I don't know. I feel like this spring I've spent a lot of afternoons at like the ball field. It's like 53 degrees, and the kids are playing youth baseball or whatever. It's going to be 90 on Tuesday. My truck said it was 90 driving on 128 coming up here. So maybe 90 already. So who knows what's in store Tuesday and Wednesday. And we got baseball Wednesday night. So it's going to be a hot one down at the Diamond. But, I love this time of year. Like last night, I was out working in the yard till like 8:30. It's like that REM song, Gardening at Night. That's my jam. Just out there pulling some weeds. I was like, kids are in bed. Let's take care of a couple things out here. Move some patio furniture around. Got it looking good. Then, promptly rained on it. But May is great. Got graduation going on this weekend. Had the horsies out last night or yesterday afternoon, I guess. You got the PGA Championship if you're so inclined, right? But you've usually got some sort of pro sports accompaniment on the Boston end that's kind of keeping you going. And sometimes it's competing for time with those other activities, right? But this is a year that we haven't had for a while, where the Celtics and Bruins just kind of bowed out immediately, and the Red Sox totally stink. And it's like, we got kind of like a barren sports landscape again here in May. And God forbid for those of us who have to talk about this until Patriots training camp, this is what we got. I mean, 2020 was clearly like a title contender for the most barren sports summers. But I think back to think about 2015, right? The Bruins pulled that magic trick of being like the betting favorite to win the Stanley Cup and then didn't even make the playoffs that year. And the Celtics were out, swept by the Cavs. And the Red Sox signed Pablo and Hanley and just immediately became like a 500 team. That was a bad summer. The summer before that was bad. The Celtics weren't even in the playoffs. 2014 Bruins went out to the Canadiens in the second round. I think everybody thought that was going to be better for the Bees. And the Red Sox, just a brutal follow-up to winning a championship. You couldn't even really be all that mad at them, but I looked it up. They had a 10-game losing streak right around now in May. It was just over. It was a bad spot for me, too. I was the editor of a Red Sox blog at the time. So, I had this team of writers were following up on the Red Sox coming off their championship season, trying to get excited about Grady Sizemore and AJ Przinsky and all these moves. And it was over June 1st. It was just what do we write about here? How do we drive engagement? There's nothing. There's nothing. It's like being on X these days. There's nothing. But, and then flip it the other way. And go back to the 1990s. I'm always going back to the 1990s. I don't care if people, do not like when I go back to the 1990s. If I'm here, I'm going back to the 1990s. But the Bruins and Celtics stunk so bad there in the late 90s that it was all on the Red Sox from April 1st to deliver. Because the expectations were high, because they were supposed to be competing for a championship, and because they had to save us from the fact that the Bruins had completely, were on the verge of trading Ray Bourque, and the Celtics had Rick Pitino at the helm. That was rough, but at least the Red Sox, 98, 99, at least they kind of carried us through that there. We got nothing right now. We got nothing. So what are we going to talk about for the next 2 hours and 47 minutes?
What's also frustrating is, at least back in the 90s when
Yeah.
the Bruins and the Celtics, weren't doing anything in the playoffs seem to be a little bit more competitive and a little bit, just better to watch. I think in both leagues, the NBA and the NHL this year, the playoffs have been a dud.
It's funny how you're talking about that because, with Mark and Jake just talking about that coming out, I was thinking about it. I mean, the first round was pretty good for NBA at least. You're like, oh, the Pistons going to get taken out. But these second-round series have just been obviously this. If you're an objective basketball observer, you probably thought it was very interesting how the 76ers came back on the Celtics, right? There were some good storylines there with Tatum and Embiid and just a lot of drama. But these second-round series have been brutal. And now in the NHL, I mean, look at the second-round series there. The Colorado-Vegas Western Conference final game, Colorado will have a 9-day break in between the end of their last series and the start of that. Meanwhile, the Sabres and Habs kill each other here. The Western Conference teams are going to have 8 and 9-day breaks, respectively. Because,
don't forget about Carolina, too. They've been sitting around
Carolina's been sitting around for a few days as well. I don't think it'll be as long as the Western teams, but they've been sitting around. So, yeah, it's interesting. That's a wimpy word. I feel like my high school English teacher would have been like, you could use a better adjective than interesting. Yeah, I probably could improve my diction there. But you start kind of looking around the edges for stuff. I'll tell you what, the Revs are revving it up, baby. They're now 8-4-1 on the season. If you can get into some soccer, you got that. My family, we are season ticket holders for the Boston Legacy, who are playing down in Foxborough, first year of a women's soccer franchise. And they're fun. They could barely score a goal their first 4 or 5 games. They're on a 5-match unbeaten streak now. They've got some wins. They've improved. It's a good product down there in Foxborough. I would highly recommend getting down there. It's a fun little family-friendly event there, and the tickets aren't so bad. So, I got that. Looking forward to that. I'm kind of not really looking forward to going into Fenway with my son, this summer because, who knows? How many runs are they going to score? I mean, coming into today, I guess if you count today, right? 21 runs in their last 10 games. Since that 10-run explosion against the Tigers, 21 runs in their last 10 games. And I don't think we're seeing any relief. We've kind of decided the Red Sox are just going to be bad. It's just going to be one of those summers. So where do we turn? What do we talk about? How about another summer of Jaylen Brown trade talk? I mean, it's really my favorite thing in the world. I think back with wonder upon the summer of 2022 when we were at our old studios in Dorchester, but we were moving, so we had to kind of do it in an auxiliary studio. And
yeah, those were always fun.
Yeah, sitting there taking calls about trading Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant and just trying not to laugh. Now, as usual, I was proven right with my take, but, whatever. We're back here again. So, hey, if we're going to be back here, I got to say my piece. That's what I'm going to do this afternoon. It's taken me some time, Jeff, because, when you work at the sports station, right, and you walk around, everybody here kind of talks about, Big Jim was talking about, going into his mechanic or going to the dentist or whatever. Everybody's asking about Vrabel and Rossini. With me, it's Sylver's the hoops guy. He works at the Sports Hub. Hey, what do you think the Celtics are going to do? They're going to break up the Jays? They're going to fire Missoula? They're going to trade for Giannis? What do you got? I don't got anything. I just know how I feel. So we'll do a little bit of that. You can join us, 617-779-0985. Want to talk Pats, of course. Next hour, we had the elongated schedule release where just stuff kind of drips out over time, like a leaky pipe. And everybody just kind of goes nuts every time you learn about one game on the schedule. I'm with Maz on that. I want to play back the Maz reaction to the NFL schedule because I'm 100% with Maz's take on that. We'll talk about the Pats schedule. Maybe have a little Bruins minute and keep an eye on Red Sox Braves, which is already not going in the home team's favor. But all these things on the table. Your ideas for the Boston Celtics. What do they need to do? Blow it up? We rebuilding? We retooling? Are we staying the same? I'll listen to them all at 617-779-0985. Sean Sylver here, Jeff Williams. We're here till 5 o'clock on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Oh, yes, the alt-rock covers are assumed on an afternoon like this. A perfect afternoon to tune into sports radio, right? 98.5 The Sports Up. Sean Sylver here with you till 5 o'clock. Jeff Williams alongside. I don't know if I ever heard this Lemonheads cover of...
This is not Lemonheads.
Sounded like Evan Dando.
This is Dinosaur Jr.
Oh, Jay Mascis. Excuse me.
Great Jay Mascis.
Excuse me. Why did I think that was Evan Dando? I don't know. I'm off kilter today. Talking about Jaylen Brown getting traded just puts me off. I can't even think straight. Oh, man. So how do we fix the Celtics? Because whatever the expectation was, and like I said, I've been getting asked for like, when did this season end here? I think the last time I was in was the last full weekend of April. And I was on before and after the Celtics beating the Sixers in Game 4. And the vibes were good. You could say the vibes were good. They blew them out. It was kind of embarrassing. You know, Joel Embiid was back, but they were still getting trounced. And everything was turning up Celtics. And then collapse. I was out to dinner with my wife and some friends the night of Game 7. And, you know, there's just certain things that you do socially or as a spouse where you just kind of, all right, now, this is dinner night. My wife's a crazy Celtics fan, too. But I don't think either of us wanted to watch it after what happened in Games 5 and 6. And then, you know, like heard the Tatum news, and I was just like, I'm not even gonna peek over at the bar. I'm just gonna let it happen. And then we walked out of the restaurant, and you know they were down. And I was just like, oh my god, of course they did. Even worse that it's the 76ers. Even worse that the New York Knicks now are awaiting their opponent for the Eastern Conference Finals, where they'll probably be favored. The freaking Knicks, man. The Knicks. But yeah, so that was 2 weeks ago. And for the past 2 weeks, I've been getting it in the texts. I've been getting it in the office. I've been getting it at places of business. I've been getting it at the T-ball field. And that's fine. Like, my life is about talking sports with people. So, you know, when people want to know, hey, is Giannis coming to the Celtics? I put those questions off. I say, you know, I just gotta like the Philadelphia 76ers for a good chunk of time there. Like the monitor here in the studio that I'm looking at that's just got like this sort of like spinning circle. I had to process it. And ultimately, you know, you can talk about it in different ways. You can talk about the expectations going into the season and whether or not they delivered on those expectations. Well, you know, honestly, whether or not you expected the 25-26 Celtics to go anywhere this year without Jason Tatum, expectations change on the fly. That is just a fact of life. That's something that happens in every sport. Injuries change expectations. Performance changes expectations. Chemistry. And whatever the expectation was, the execution is eventually what mattered. And the Celtics executed in the regular season. We credited them for that. So I think rightly you can criticize them for not executing in the postseason. There is a disconnect between what they did for 82 games and what they did in the 7-game series. And frankly, for all the praise that we heap on them for 2024, again, fairly, the fact that they've been on regular deep playoff runs here since 2017, with the exception of like 2021, they've taken their foot off the gas, to use Brad Stevens' own words, in the playoffs other years. And this is an example. I know that there are specific extenuating circumstances in every playoff series. For instance, like Porzingis was hurt during the Knicks series last year, right? I mean, put him out there and things probably go, a healthy Porzingis, put him out there and things probably go a bit differently. right? They just weren't the same as the 2024 team once you eliminated not only all of the things that Porzingis was able to do, but just the rim protection, basic post-scoring presence that was suddenly gone without Porzingis. But to make excuses for this year, I'm really not interested in it. We know that they played above their head during the regular season. We know that Jason Tatum was not 100%. I think he used 85% as a marker when he was talked about it post-game, post-elimination. And you still lost 3 in a row to Philadelphia. And 2 of those you had Tatum on the floor. In fact, 3 of the 4 losses to Philadelphia, you had Tatum on the floor. And you can distribute blame and credit. You can chop it up and pass it around. Tyrese Maxey's an all-NBA talent. VJ Edgecombe is clearly a rising star. Paul George didn't vaporize mid-series. Like, kudos to him. Joel Embiid got back out there. Brett Brown outcoached Joe Mazzulla. But in the end, you're the first Celtics team to blow a 3-1 lead. You took your foot off the gas. You settled into a predictable style of play. You clearly got too comfortable. And honestly, I mean, I don't know how you feel about that out there, 617-779-0985, but I feel like when Jason Tatum is on the Celtics, on the floor with the Celtics, there's a complex for the rest of the roster and potentially for the coaching staff where it's like, our savior is here. We can't possibly mess this up right now because we have Tatum. And time and again, we have found that not to be the case. Not that Tatum hasn't rescued the Celtics a good number of times, but they play a different brand of basketball when he's out there. And to a sense, that's their identity because Jason Tatum is their superstar player, nominally at least, statistically. But what we saw all year without Jason Tatum was a brand of basketball that we liked. And then they got away from it because they just did. Just feel like, oh, he's here. It's all good. I mean, and we go to the offseason, and now you've got several schools of thought. And one is we're heading into more discussions about trading Jaylen Brown. And that's something we got away from for a few years. What a relief. It didn't feel like as long as it should have been, though, to me. Because this has just been trailing this guy his entire time here. And if I'm him, how could I not have some residual angst about, I don't know, just the way that media around the team, fans, potentially management, just bringing him up in trade talks. I remember, think about everybody being like, when Ray Allen left here, right? Everybody loved to crap on Ray Allen. I was like his one defender. And maybe that disqualifies my opinion to you. I don't care. I think anybody who's getting rumors of being traded and his starting spot goes to Avery Bradley and the team trades for Jason Terry and I forget who the other guy was, but they brought in Jason freaking Terry. That is the writing on the wall that they do not want you there. He left. Get over it. I feel like NBA players and all professional athletes are fueled by a certain amount of spite. And with Jaylen Brown, that is some really, really good fuel in his tank. And if he's holding on to that residual stuff for all these years and that helps him play better, okay. Sure. I'm here for that. Of course it piles up after a while when you're in trade rumors for a broken down Kevin Durant who can't win anymore and never could win without help. And now it's going to be Giannis. Again, a broken down player in his early to mid 30s that we're talking about with Jaylen Brown. And apparently, according to some, Jaylen Brown has some misgivings about the fact that he's included in those conversations. In fact, Tracy McGrady said that Jaylen was, quote, frustrated. And oh man, was there a hornet's nest in reaction to that. T-Mac, apparently a mentor to Jaylen Brown of sorts, which is, he seems to be a nice enough guy, very amiable. But, those NBA on NBC guys, I always laugh when I see that panel Because between Tracy McGrady, Carmelo Anthony, and Vince Carter, you add them all together, 0 championships. And yeah, I get it. Like Charles Barkley has 0 championships too, and we love listening to that guy talk about basketball. But it's like, Tracy McGrady is as a career mentor. I mean, I'll give him one thing. He tried his damnedest to make the Orlando Magic matter, basically by himself for a number of years. I'll give him that. But Jalen talking to T-Mac, and this, I guess, has just been a relationship throughout their career. And then T-Mac kind of spoke up, and some people kind of called him on it. Let's hear about that.
Because I have a relationship with Jalen, I know him, and I know how he acts, right? So watching this series, how it unfolds, watching the behavior change and uncharacteristics of who I know Jalen is. So it looked like he was frustrated to me when you go into the media and you say some of the things that he said, when he go on his streaming platform and say some of those things. This is me having a relationship with him. This is not me, having a conversation. I haven't talked to Jalen at all about this. I just know my friend, and when I see certain things, I see frustration. So after a 3-1 loss, right, to the Philadelphia 76ers, all this stuff is happening, and I'm seeing what I'm seeing because I have a relationship with him. And I think people really not knowing I'm part of the media, right? So if I see something, I'm going to speak about it. And I think they haven't separated my friendship versus me being an analyst, right, and talking about this. So it was nothing that we had a conversation about. It's the things that I'm seeing my friend and what he's displaying in front of the media. And when you go into the press conference and you're talking about, everything that transpires, when you say you find out 45 minutes in game 7 that JT wasn't playing, as a player, I'm going to be frustrated about that. Yeah. When you look at the roster or the lineup that was rolled out in a game 7, as a player, I'm going to be frustrated with that. And that's me speaking. So I don't know if y'all feel we'll have that same sentiment if your coach, the organization comes to you and say one of your guys, your main guy, is not playing 45 minutes before a game 7. How would you feel about that?
I'm reminded of a Our Lady Peace song there. Clumsy was Tracy McGrady's way of walking that back. I mean, T-Mac, I don't know how long he's been a member of the media. I know he came in front of our eyeballs with this NBC NBA contract now that started last year or this season. But you got to be able to separate yourself from your personal affairs and your affairs as an analyst. I think there are many examples around that, particularly in New England right now, that are going on. And it's just... I get what McGrady is saying about the timing of it, with Tatum getting taken out of the game, or said that he was out for Game 7, and that being frustrating in the locker room to the other personnel. And a lot of people, I think, mischaracterized Kevin Garnett's comments on that as Garnett saying, that Tatum was the Tatum situation was frustrating, making it personal. I think situationally it is frustrating when a player gets taken out of the game. But if you remember, Boston sports fan, Kevin Garnett's career, not ruined, but definitely took a major step back. And the reason the Celtics did not win back-to-back titles is because of Kevin Garnett's knee. So he knows just how important that is. And yeah, of course the locker room would be frustrated with the situation. You get that bombshell 45 minutes before the game. So maybe that's on the coach. Maybe that's on the administration of the Celtics to make that known earlier than 45 minutes ahead of the game. But the tinfoil hat brigade is strong on this one. We got the Pepe Sylvia the board with all the pieces of yarn going for. Jalen said this on his live stream. Then we got what McGrady said over here. Oh, he was on the Jennifer Hudson show. He was doing this. Oh, he even danced on the Jennifer Hudson show.
Carol.
This place is a ghost town, Mac. You know what I found out? There is no Carol that works in HR. Oh, man. It is thick right now with people trying to put together Jaylen Brown wanting out of Boston. What I want to be very clear about is I do not want Jaylen Brown out of Boston at all. Jaylen Brown is the lifeblood of this Celtics team. Please stay. Please don't get frustrated however you're feeling. If you are frustrated, great. Let it fuel you. Let it fuel you. 2027 title. Bill in New Hampshire. Bill, how are you?
I'm doing good, Sean. Thanks for taking the call. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in there.
So I agree with you. Jalen is the lifeblood of this ball club. And I'm actually probably one of the extreme minority Celtic fans that feels that the Celtics should try and trade away Jason Tatum. I think when I've looked at this club this entire year and Tatum coming off the injury and being reintegrated back into the team, I always felt that there was something off with the vibe of the team. And I think you felt it in Game 5 that there was this particular switch with the vibe that caused them, I felt, to not only just lose the game but lose the series. I honestly think, and it's there's a couple of different things here, but for me, I think if it's really character and culture and the vibe that you want in the locker room, I think you ought to look at Tatum before you look at Brown. Brown's the real leader of this team. People gravitate to Brown. I don't think they gravitate to JT. That's number one. And number two, there needs to be this. They got to stop relying on the nerds. They got to, the 12-footers start getting inside. Well, you chuckle, Sean. You know I'm right.
No. I chuckle, Bill.
You from the cheap seats. You can't be checking it from the cheap seats.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
The reason I laugh is because I agree with you 1,000%. If you're looking at this as a black and white issue, all right? It's either Brown or Tatum. I would rather trade Tatum for the reasons Bill enumerated. And also, I also think that, to Bill's other point, you don't play math games when you have two future Hall of Famers. That ish is for the Bridgies, as they were so properly named, right? The 2016 or 17 Celtics. All of this with the threes started with Brad Stevens. So don't get mad at Joe Mazzulla. You can be mad at Joe Mazzulla for a lot of things, but the philosophy is an NBA-wide philosophy, but it was Brad Stevens who brought the Celtics from being middle of the road to back of the pack in shooting threes to being the number 2 team in three-point volume behind the Golden State Warriors approximately 10 or 11 years ago. And that's how they won. But you did it with a vastly different roster. And I just think the time is done to play, Math Rabbit, or what was that computer game back in the day, Jeff? Was there like
Number Munchers or something like that, right?
to play what? No, it was Reader Rabbit. I'm getting that wrong. But yeah, Number Munchers, whatever it is. Don't play math when you have 2 Hall of Famers on your roster. That is, again, this isn't football. This isn't hockey. This isn't baseball. This is basketball where you have 5 players on the court at one time. 2 of them are future Hall of Famers. Do not play math with that lineup. Joe Mazzulla needs to figure out how to coach differently. Brad Stevens needs to provide Mazzulla with a roster where they can actually do it. And yes, to Bill's point, I am more pro Brown than pro Tatum. He's just too laid back for me. However, he's so good. And when I say laid back, that man made a historic comeback from an Achilles injury. No one else in pro sports, and unless I'm missing something, has returned from an Achilles injury at the pace that Jason Tatum did. You have to credit him for that, absolutely. I'm just talking about on the court, in the flow, day-to-day, basketball. Jason Tatum is a little laid back for me. That is why having the mix of the two guys is not a curse. It's a blessing. You've got one guy who's got a completely different personality from the other guy. They work well together. They won a title together. They're both future Hall of Famers. They need to stay. But now what do we do? Because you can't just run it back. And that's the question. 617-779-0985. Going to take a little break here. We'll be back. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
.98.5 The Sports Hub. Now, the Celtics and Bruins and Red Sox, as they're down 6-0 to the Braves right now, they may have abandoned us this May of 2026, year of our Lord. But we'll stick around. We'll stick around. Sean Sylver here. We're here till 5. I was just talking to Jeff Williams about summer concert plans. Jeff usually the kind of guy who attends some shows that I find very interesting. I don't attend that many shows. I don't know. I've attended a few in over say the last 6 months, but nowhere near as good as what Jeff's doing out there. So, summer concert talk, I'll even take that. Joe Murray talks food. All right, I will talk bands. So feel free. We'll scratch the itch at 617-779-0985. I do want to take a step back, right? Because, you get a call from Bill in New Hampshire. And, again, black and white issue, I agree with Bill. I am more, if you're gonna make it a discussion, I am more pro Brown than pro Tatum, just from a basketball watching, philosophy, intensity kind of standpoint. I think there's room to credit both players, however. And yeah, I get so mad when they're taking threes, and it's just like, can you do something else? But they don't. And again, that's why I stepped away from this for a couple of weeks. And it's even, I can get heated when somebody makes a comment about, Brown versus Tatum. I can get heated because I have an opinion on it. But it's not, I guess, constructive. Maybe this is me walking it back. Maybe I'm being a little T-Mac right here. It's not constructive for me to suggest any of these particular scenarios when they're not going to happen and they're not the right solution for the Boston Celtics. Because, like I said, the yin and the yang of Brown and Tatum is perfectly appropriate. If you trade Brown, you're risking Tatum's future. Okay, say you trade Brown, who you know what he is. Say you bring in Giannis, right? Who's 3 years older and injury prone. What happens when the wheels fall off of that sedan? Well, sports car, I suppose, not a sedan, but very pricey sports car. Needs to be the Greek freak, to have a body like his and to sustain playing sports at a high level the way that he has for that period of time is a minor miracle. I mean, just look at on the other side of the coin. Look at a guy like Joel Embiid, who was drafted a year after he was. Right? Can't get on the court. So, yeah, there's a lot of risk with that. DeMontis Sabonis is people like, hey, I love watching DeMontis Sabonis. But again, what does this do for Jason Tatum? If you trade Jaylen Brown and you get a DeMontis Sabonis on the Celtics, is he really DeMontis Sabonis, the guy that we've seen thrive with the Kings and the Pacers? Or is he... I mean, I just feel like that guy, his game, a guy who can be a fulcrum of the offense, that doesn't work with Jason Tatum. He would be neutered by the presence of Jason Tatum. I mean, just look at what happened, and furthermore, with the coach. Look at what happened this year with Vucevic, who we know can shoot the three, and I know was injured. Obviously, there are pieces to all of these discussions that need to be put out there, right? But Vooch is the definition of a guy who you throw it into inside and get an easy bucket. And Joe Mazzulla and Brad Stevens have never been able to coach one of those players. The only time that actually happened was Kristaps Porzingis, and it was as a change of pace to their usual bombs away style when they won the title in 24. That's when I said, oh, Joe Mazzulla gets it, because he has Kristaps Porzingis, who not only is a guy who can bomb the three, but you can also set him up on the block, throw it in, get an easy, drop step, get a turnaround jumper, get from the elbow, whatever. Just let him be 7'3" and score. And occasionally he did, particularly those nights when it wasn't falling from 22 feet away from the basket, 23 feet. But they don't have anybody like that on the roster anymore. Well, they had Vooch. Vooch was a chance to do that, and they didn't do it. So I just don't know what you're going to do if you trade away one of those two pieces that's actually going to make your team better. And that just, that makes me feel a little bit stuck. That's why I kind of took my time with it. It's a bit like the Red Sox conversation with, John Henry, sell the team. Well, no, he's not going to sell the team. And the Boston Celtics aren't going to, get rid of Brad Stevens. They're probably not going to get rid of Joe Mazzulla, though I'll get to this. There are examples of teams, Celtics teams even, that have gotten rid of coaches quicker than Joe Mazzulla after winning a title. And it's probably not in their best interest to trade Tatum or Brown. It's just not. And I'm sorry, maybe that's not juicy enough to sustain your summer appetite for rumors and innuendo and Shams bombs. But Tatum needs Brown. Tatum needs Brown. And Brown, I guess, in a way, needs Tatum. But they gotta work around the edges. 617-779-0985. Hey, Jeff, did you hear about Steve Kerr and the Taylor Swift song All Too Well?
No, I did not.
All right, we'll hit on that quickly when we get back. That's a big market tease there for something that's not even of this market, but a little something that just whet my appetite for the NBA and I guess Taylor Swift at the same time here on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
dropping this series. They are down 6-0 right now. That game in the bottom of the fifth, and Brian Bayo. Wait a minute. Yeah, no, it's 6-0, and nothing has changed. I thought for a second I thought I thought I saw Putty Tat. I thought something had changed. No, it's still 6-0 Braves as Brian Bayo, an ERA over 9 as a starter, as a reliever, an ERA under 2. The weird, perplexing Red Sox season continues to roll along. Hey, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he is the recipient of back-to-back NBA MVP awards. We got Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinal series between the Pistons and the Cavs tonight at 8 o'clock. The winner will take on the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Stanley Cup playoffs last night. The Sabres beat up the Habs 8-3. Those two teams will play a Game 7 tomorrow night. The New England Revolution, now 8-4-1 on the season with a 2-1 win over Minnesota United last night. And at the PGA Championship, Jon Rahm came on over from Liv, right? Jon Rahm lives a sinking ship. 6 under, tied with Alex Smalley for the lead. Justin Thomas and Ludwig Aberg, I wonder if it's Aberg or Aberg. I'm sure I've looked that up before. I'm not too familiar with Ludwig's game. But they're just a shot back right now. A bunch of guys lurking, including Rory McIlroy at 4 under as final round play rolls along. The headlines, they're brought to you by Boston Prolotherapy. Don't let joint pain keep you off the court, course, or trail. Eliminate that pain with Dr. Franke of Boston Prolotherapy. I'm Sean Sylver, Boston Over Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 4.
Are you actually coaching the game, or it's just that is? I feel so strongly about that. I can't even tell you.
Boston Talk Sports here.
What do we got?
The Sports. Boston Sports. Yeah, we got that covered. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Bought a CD. Now, I've gotten CDs at concerts, right? You go to a concert, you pick up a CD of the band. I buy used CDs all the time. That's like actually a thing that I do. I know not everybody does that, but I'm a physical media guy. I buy CDs.
You just brought me back to that, like walking out of like an arena and like just getting handed like CDs and bumper stickers.
Yeah. Great experience. But I think Taylor Swift's Red is one of the more recent like CDs that I actually went to the store and bought, and that came out in 2012. I did this exercise. I think the last CD I ever bought, Jeff, I don't know if you're familiar with the Naked and Famous. They had a couple of hits there on the turn of the 2010s there. I think it was a Naked and Famous CD that I bought. And then I went to their concert. It was at the House of Blues. Was it House of Blues? Yes, it was House of Blues. I think. It was across from Fenway, so it's got to be House of Blues. Back in 2013, because the Sox were in the ALCS against the Tigers. And I swear to you, it is the shortest concert I've ever been to in my entire life. Like, I got in as they were playing the opening song. Like, they were right at 8 o'clock. They were on the stage. So, like, I could hear the opening song, while I'm waiting in line, okay, great, whatever. I got 90 minutes of music at least ahead of me. No, they were out of there before 9 o'clock. I was just like, whoa. Like, I realized this is like a synth pop group with just 2 albums to their name, but, maybe a cover. Maybe. I don't know. It was like 48 minutes.
They just like rip through their songs, just like no talking to the crowd.
I don't even remember specifically. I just remember getting out of there and like looking down at my watch or phone or whatever, and it wasn't even 9 o'clock. And I was just like, well, Bleacher Bar is across the way, and the Red Sox are in the ALCS right now, so let's just head over there. Because, I had efforted to make it in from the suburbs into Boston to see this show that I'd been psyched for. I had no idea that the ALCS was going to be going on the same night, but I had the ticket. I liked the band. I went. And, yeah, it was over before it started. But then I just enjoyed the rest of my night at Bleacher Bar as John Lester and Anibal Sanchez dueled. But, little things like that stick in your head. But, yes, Taylor Swift's Red, probably one of the last CDs that I actually bought at a store when, you could do that. I assume you can. I remember going in, like, Best Buy maybe like 5 or 6 years ago and seeing, like, a CD rack. Is that still there? Are there even Best Buys? There's some.
I think they got rid of a lot of their media.
All right.
Newbury Comics is still around.
Yeah,
though.
Newbury Comics. A lot of Funko Pops in there, but, Newbury
All the vinyl, too.
Well, that's the thing. Vinyl has surpassed CDs and this happened a while ago, but the vinyl market is comparatively strong. But, yeah, so not to get into music too much. If you want to do that, check out my podcast. Jeff is going to be a guest. But Taylor Swift's Red came out in 2012. There's a song, All Too Well, a reflective, slow burn kind of ballad that gets very dramatic at the end. It's a good one. And I'm not ashamed to admit I've seen Taylor Swift in concert back before it, became, I think I paid like $100 for the ticket. And at the time I was just like, that's really expensive. That's a lot for me. Now I can't even imagine what it would be like.
Oh, if you could see like what I pay for shows.
Oh, but this is like 2013, I think. So anyways, apparently, there's, this is just putting aside like the Travis Kelce and the NFL thing and Taylor Swift, right? Apparently she has a big fan in Steve Kerr, head coach of the Golden State Warriors. So much so that there's an article out here that Steve Kerr went through an entire season, the year after they won the title, of slipping lyrics from the song All Too Well into his pressers.
I got some sound here if you want me to play it.
You do? Because I heard that like a family member had put together what do they call it? A sizzle reel, a supercut of Steve Kerr slipping All Too Well into his post-game press conferences, lyrics from All Too Well. And that a family member, I guess, had put together this supercut, and somehow Taylor Swift had gotten a hold of it and was like, hey, Steve Kerr, would you mind if I share this on my social media? And Steve said no. I guess it was just a little challenge that he had for himself, but there is some leaked. Someone has done the forensics here on the Steve Kerr post-game interviews. I want to hear this.
Steve, the road skate ended today. What changed about this game in the fourth quarter, outside of, Steph and Clay getting hot?
I thought we did a better job of taking care of the ball in the second half. I walked through the door, the locker room at halftime. I thought we must have 20 turnovers. I looked at the stat sheet. We had 14. It felt like 20.
Okay, so I walked through the door. Okay, so we've got that.
I think that's all I have, though.
All right.
This is an Instagram post.
Interesting. Okay, so that's the first one. But apparently he made it. I'm assuming he made it through the whole song. You've got an 82-game season, and I guess I forget what happened to the 2023 Warriors, but some additional playoff press conferences, right? I guess he made it through the whole song in his pressers. And there's some lines in this song that just, I'm wondering how he fit those in. For instance, photo album on the counter. Your cheeks were turning red. Used to be a little kid with glasses in a twin-sized bed. And your mother's telling stories about you on the T-ball team. I don't have time for this. There's somebody out there who has time to do this. This needs to be brought forth. How about you call me up again just to break me like a promise? So casually cruel in the name of being honest. I'm a crumbled up piece of paper lying here because I remember it all too well. Like, how does Steve Kerr work? And again, fragmented as they are, work these lyrics into a presser. My final one, after plaid shirt days and nights when you made me your own, now you mail back my things and I walk home alone, but you keep my old scarf from the very first week. Now, did Draymond Green leave a scarf in the locker room and that's how he managed to slip that in there? I don't know. But bless you, Steve Kerr. That is the kind of work that NBA head coaches should be doing. Joe Mazzulla, I appreciate the kind of, chippy, weird nature of his press conferences. Like, he's clearly a smart guy. Seems like he's kind of a funny guy, underneath it all, as Gwen Stefani once said. But, he's a little rigid in a lot of his pressers. Maybe he can start working on some Taylor Swift lyrics. Maybe there can be some folks out there who've got a lot of time in their hands can transcribe the Joe Mazzulla lyrical experience. But I thought that was pretty good. I don't know how you feel about it. I don't know. That guy's proven everything. Is this a case of, Steve Kerr's taking his foot off the gas because he's fitting Taylor Swift lyrics into his presser? No, it's entertaining. It's a little bit of minutia along the 82-game march to the playoffs that just kind of, all right, I like that. Give me something. Keep me entertained. That's all I care about. 617-779-0985. I'll have my last word on the Celtics, and we'll break into... I'm sure the phones are going to light up because, opinions are like butts. Everybody's got a butt, as I say to my kids. I'm sure everybody's got a hot take about the Pats schedule. So, Celtics, Pats, Bruins are on the table because I haven't really had a chance to post-mortem them. That draft was the draft lottery was hilarious for those of you who like pain. And, we'll eventually, I guess, catch up with the Red Sox after they lose this one to the Braves here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Yeah, 98.5 The Sports Sub. I feel like Jeff and I have done our fair share of listening to Verve Pipe over the years. Sean Sylver here, Jeff Williams on the other side of the glass. You alongside for a Sunday afternoon, the weekend before Memorial Day. We will run this back again next weekend. So, start preparing contingency plans now, as this show will be repeated next Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. I understand there's a lot of graduations today and stuff. I guess that's college, right? Because high school, you still got another month of school, right?
Depends on the school, but I think high school is probably this week. You probably do like the sign-out day, the last day.
The sign-out.
Graduation's like a week later, I would say.
Oh, really? And I guess, I don't know. I guess I just forgot what so long ago. But this is a more recent experience for you as a parent, so
yes, that is true.
You understand the clock and the calendar, I guess, the cadence of the school year. I'm a ways off from being there. I'm in no hurry to get to that. But
I was going to say you think you're a ways off, but it's going to come before you know it.
Oh yeah. No, it's already screaming at me here. So yeah. I was going to ask you, have you heard about Year to Beat?
I have not, no.
So it's a game you can play on your phone, akin to like Wordle or, Immaculate Grid, or it's a trivia game. But in this case, it's music and which year did the song come out?
Oh, I'd be really good at that.
So I've been killing it sometimes. It's 5 songs. They play a YouTube video for the song, basically, and you just, so the video can be like a context clue in itself. Like, say they'll play like a Sting song, from like the 80s, right? And it's just like Englishman in New York, for instance, was one. And it's just like, all right, I feel like this is like late 80s Sting, but you get Ja Rule and you get, Nelly and you get current stuff like the Panda, well, not whatever, that was 10 years ago, but like the Panda song and, all like rap that's Cardi B and rap that's happened within like the last 10 years. And then, you got, this is my problem. I think that stuff that's happened within like the last 10 years is current music, like, like the Whip Nene song could have been like last year for me. I just don't know anymore. There's a theory out there, Jeff, that, once you hit 33, that is when you like completely dial in your music taste and you stop accepting like new information. There's a little wobble though that happens in between 42 and 43. This is statistical data. Again, it's probably not everybody's experience, but I see it as like a midlife musical crisis where people are like, oh, maybe I'll start listening to some current stuff again. And then they hang around for a little bit and then they just go back to what they know. But yeah, I think I shut it down right around like 2016 on.
Yeah, I would.
Knowing what
I'm
new music is.
How far back I went, but you're right. I did try getting into like newer music, like what they're trying to push off as like rock.
Yep.
And I just can't do it.
Yeah, like Greta Van Fleet feels new to me because again, it was like 2015 or 16, kind of like when I stopped listening to new music. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm sure Greta Van Fleet's like a current band. Are they even still together? That was like a whole
They teased something recently. I didn't know what it was though.
See, Jeff is with it here. But either way, Year to Beat is fun. Is fun.
So when I was out in Daytona for Rockville, one of the nights that we drove back with an Uber, he asked us, he's like, you guys like TV and movies? And we were like, yeah, sure. He's like, all right. He started playing TV themes and we had to guess them. Oh boy, I crushed them.
That's fantastic. Was it all across the board?
It was crazy.
New stuff,
like
old
80s,
stuff?
70s, 90s.
Okay.
And I was nailing them. And he was like, wow, dude, you're really good at this. I'm like, I don't know if that's a good thing though.
See, you know what? This is a segment we could do. We just need an arbiter here. We need a third body for next weekend. Because how are we going to get through Memorial Day weekend, Sunday 2 to 5? We could just run back these same sort of topics that we're covering now. Maybe there'll be some major sports news in the week ahead that we'll have to get to next weekend. But I think that Jeff Williams and I should just play Year to Beat, or maybe a little run on some TV themes from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Like that would be cool with me. So, Jeff, consider it. We got a week to plan this out. I'm sure we won't run out of time or get distracted or anything between now and Sunday, but yeah. Well, we got another 90 plus minutes left here. We'll have some more random 90s alternative tunes. It'll be just like listening to Hardy here between now and the end of the show. But yeah, I wanted to have a final word, I guess, on the Celtics. I kind of got into it a little bit about trading Jaylen Brown, and how does that go? I'm against it, right? Just to spoil everybody's party, I'm against it. I think I'm, what would the word be? Trying to be pragmatic about the road forward here, because the other thing would be, do you can Joe Mazzulla? And factually, again, objectively, there have been instances in Celtics history where they have gotten rid of the coach within 2 years of a championship. One of them is Tommy Heinsohn. Tommy Heinsohn, Hall of Famer, number retired in the rafters. Tommy Heinsohn won the championship in 76, was out of here by 78. Extenuating circumstances with that. You had the NBA-ABA merger at the time in 76 that, brought Dr. J and them all over. So the Eastern Conference shifted dramatically at that point, bringing, Julius Erving over to the 76ers, and they were immediately in the finals the next year. And the Celtics went through some crazy roster reconstruction that, if you're into your NBA history, you can do that sort of stuff. But the team completely changed underneath Tommy Heinsohn, and he was fired about a year and a half after winning a title, his second title with the Celtics. Was he fired or did he resign? Either way, he was out. The actual firing came, an example of a firing came with Bill Fitch. And Max can tell you about this one because the 81 Celtics won the title with Bill Fitch at the helm. Cedric Maxwell was finals MVP. The 82 Celtics, they lost the Philadelphia 76ers in the Eastern Conference Finals, which that was the Beat LA series, and up until this year was the last time that the Celtics had lost to the 76ers in a playoff series. And then the next year they were smoked 4 games out, swept by the Milwaukee Bucks, and Bill Fitch was fired. Larry Bird's opinion probably had a lot to do with that. So there have been examples in Celtics history where a coach has been fired faster than 2 years after a championship, which is where Joe Mazzulla is right now. The difference probably is that the principals of this Celtics team, by all indications, they really like Joe Mazzulla. Now, does that mean that he's the right fit for this team? You could say, hey, we got to shake some things up. We need a shock to the system. These players can't get too comfortable. Maybe we got to get rid of their binky coach that they all love. I mean, I get frustrated too. I get, the just lack of deviance from the chucking. We already mentioned, that Nikola Vucevic Brad brought in a piece who could play in the low post. They didn't use him in the low post. My dissatisfaction with just playing numbers and playing math when you have a roster has 2 future Hall of Famers on it. It's more talented than most rosters. Don't play math games. It's not probability games here. We're not flipping coins to try and win basketball games. You have 2 future Hall of Famers on your roster. And I feel like he's had 4 years to demonstrate growth. And in year 2, yes, he demonstrated growth. The roster supported that growth. They won a championship. But the returns have diminished, and now you're out in the first round when you were presented with a challenge this season, an actual real challenge. The roster was retooled. Your, again, nominal best player was out. These are just facts. That's not even opinion right there, right? I said I kind of like the quirkiness of Joe Mazzulla. I would love if he would change it up sometimes. Maybe let some of those quirks, like, transform this team into a bunch of mid-range jump shooters. And just try and win that way, Joe, because at least it would be different from what we've been seeing in these catastrophic exits in the playoffs. But I don't think he'll do that. And again, this goes back to Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens changed the way the Celtics played over a decade ago, and now he is in the front office, and he's going to stick with that. But I will say this. The last time Brad Stevens overhauled the Celtics roster and, created a team that he wanted, they won a title. The time before that, they went to the finals. 2022, that offseason, getting Horford, getting Horford back, bringing in Ime. Like, that team went to the finals. And then when he overhauled it again, trading Smart, trading Brogdon, who had been a good player here, and getting Kristaps and Holiday, they won the title. So this is just what you have. You have an executive who's not going to change. You have a coach who's probably not going to change all that much. Do you trust the executive to rebuild the team? I think he deserves that chance. And this is not a run-it-back situation. This is, we need an impact player here. And you have a traded player exemption in the 20-something millions of dollars. I know that doesn't get you all that much in the NBA anymore, but you can take on a good-sized contract that way. You've got the mid-level. You can build a better team around Brown and Tatum, one that can cover up any warts that there are. This supporting cast, while the growth was great, and I agree with Jason Tatum, this is like one of my favorite seasons. Wouldn't you too be inspired by like being in a situation where you're presented with a challenge and you and your coworkers rally and make the situation better? I think that's awesome. I mean, that's the definition of teamwork. Why wouldn't you be excited about that? Stop hating on Jaylen Brown for saying that. But you have two guys who, again, are future Hall of Fame talents. They work pretty well together, but they can't do it all. And you need to find ways to cover up. You just didn't have enough of that with this particular roster. Brad Stevens has some money. He has a few months to work on this. Let's see it. We saw it before in 2022, Stevens got moved to the front office. He was making deals. He was signing the coach. He did this before the playoffs were even over. So I'm curious what we're going to see here and how soon from the Celtics. Maybe we'll be talking about it next weekend. I do trust that Brad Stevens can deliver something better than this year. The question is, are you going to like it? Are you going to eat that oatmeal? Are you going to take that medicine with the grape flavor, but it's still medicine? And accept all those three-pointers into your life, because we know it's going to happen, and you might not like it, but the real question is here, can they be a title-winning team and not waste the primes of these players on first-round exits? I do feel like if they can't do it next year, if Brad overhauls the roster, then Mazzulla's out. I feel like he's out. Because, again, similar to the Red Sox, cross-pollinating, but you're not going to fire the players. And I just think in the NBA, if you're trading talents like a Jaylen Brown or a Jason Tatum, it's inevitably 60 cents on the dollar, particularly in the NBA. How about John in Boston? John, how you doing this afternoon?
I am doing so well. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing all right, hanging in there, dealing with, coming to grips with a difficult Boston summer ahead of us.
That is true, but I mean, graduation is taking place right now, and I just want to take you back to a little bit. I don't know if you know that one Randy Mario Poffo.
Oh, sure. I'm familiar with the name.
Some 42 years ago, and was the valedictorian, no less. I just wonder if you can conjure me back to, maybe that valedictorian speech from one Randy Mario Poffo.
Okay, John, thank you. Wow. I believe the Macho Man was from Downers Grove, Pennsylvania. Oh, yeah. 42 years ago. 42. He didn't graduate 42 years. It must have been 52 years ago. To the class of 1971. Yeah. Looking out at each and every one of you wearing those funny hats. I don't like them. I'm suspicious, about those hats. Why are they so square? Mortarboard. Yeah. What are you, the genius? I don't like that guy. All right, I am the valedictorian of this class. You know I am the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour. All A's. Yeah, straight A's. Didn't even need extra credit. No. I am the cream of the crop. It's proven that I'm standing right here. This isn't all about me. I'm here to pump you up for the future, yeah. You, too, can go straight to the top, yeah. Eat your Wheaties, work out. There's some other guy who says say your prayers, eat your vitamins, that's okay. But yeah, I'm here to inspire you, yeah. Inspiration for the future, yeah. Jeff Williams, I see you out there in the crowd, yeah. You get your whole life in front of you. You're gonna go to great heights if you follow the Macho Man. We'll be the mega powers together. Ooh, yeah. How's that? I don't know. Dun, dun, dun. That song in the public domain.
Brings me back to my high school graduation 25 years ago.
Oh,
and
shoot, me too.
I came out and did the macho thing to the music and everything.
Did you now? God bless you. I didn't do that. I don't believe I did that, which is a missed opportunity, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I had to.
It's a
I was
missed
doing
opportunity.
The finger twirl, everything.
The finger twirl. 25 years. So, 25 years, that means there's got to be a reunion this year, Jeff.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
I've been thinking about, I haven't heard anything about it. Haven't, gotten like an email or a Facebook message. I don't know if like my graduating class is like got it together on that level. I know that like last year there was a 20th reunion at my alma mater, my college. I heard was not well attended at all. I don't know if like millennials or zennials or whatever are kind of out on reunions. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm trying to remember, we had a 10-year and a 15-year, and like barely anybody showed up for the 15-year. Okay. And now no one wants to, we didn't do a 20, we didn't do a 25.
I went to a 10-year high school reunion. I feel like they were like, it was at like a restaurant, like, I forget when, like what time of the year, but it was just like it might have been right before Thanksgiving. And it's just like, it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving or whatever. And you got like 40 or 50 people out for that. That was kind of nice. That was a long time ago now. It has been, I think they tried to do, because, all right, so if you're like me, we would have graduated, our 20th reunion would have been the COVID year. So nobody, or the right around the year, COVID year. So nobody was really doing much then, I don't think. Huh. Yeah, I wonder. Will there be a 25th? Jeff ain't going to his.
I mean, if they set something up, I would go, but I don't have any faith in my class to do it.
Just got to set something up, and Jeff will be there. All right. It's up to you there, graduating class. I don't know. I don't think that was my strongest work. I don't really think that was my strongest work. We had a couple calls on. Well, let's take them. It's a Sunday. Let's start with Dermot in Topsfield on the Celtics. Dermot, how are you?
I'm doing great. I want to compliment what you said a few minutes ago. Mm-hmm. Felger and Maz would hate to hear this, but you complimented Jaylen Brown because he said it was his favorite season. He's a smart guy. I think he actually represents our city very well. I think he contributes to the city. Mm-hmm. Give the guy a break. So we had a favorite season. It's not a crime, right?
Yeah. Agree with you 100%, Dermot. Thank you for the call. I mean, it's tough, I guess, for some, particularly in this industry, to accept the give the guy a break argument. And I'm not necessarily even saying that. I'm just saying that, again, I've got my biases, right? I've got little things. Everybody has their peccadillos, right? But objectively, if you're presented with a challenge in a workplace setting and you have an experience that exceeds expectations and you you observed other people experiencing growth at the same time, would you not feel some sort of pride or joy in that? I guess we can't be happy around here. That's, I don't know. I've been at this radio station this is my 12th year, right? So I should know that by now. Regardless, I still get on here and spout my nonsense and try to be positive. But I had no problem with that remark. And again, I'm not going to don the tinfoil hat. We're not going to go down to Carol in HR. I will not be mailing anything halfway to Siberia. There's no Jaylen Brown. There's no smoke. There's no fire. If anything, there's a guy who's frustrated. And maybe it's just a little bit too much online. But again, I wouldn't understand that because I'm not in like the live streaming age. Right? That's not, or at least I'm just a little, maybe it is my generation, but I'm a little too old school for that. We just dated ourselves here. We're coming up on our 25th high school reunions, for God's sake. Hey, Brandon in Boston, what do you got this afternoon?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for taking my phone call.
Appreciate you calling.
I'm over the Jaylen Brown experience, and I have a trade proposal that would make sense for the Celtics.
Okay.
Now, this is sending Jaylen Brown and Sam Hauser to the Denver Nuggets, and you'll receive Jamal Murray and Cam Johnson. And with this trade, right, you're looking at a good production from Jamal Murray with his assists. 7.1 compared to Jaylen Brown's 5.1. Of course, you lose a little bit of rebounding because Jaylen Brown produces 6.9, but you actually gain more with Cam Johnson because Jamal Murray and Cam Johnson. So with Jamal Murray, 4.4% in rebounding, you got Cam Johnson 3.8. So that's about 8 to 9 more rebounds.
Okay.
But looking at this trade, you get the ball out of Derek White's hand, you get a true point guard, and then you get a sharpshooter in Cam Johnson that's shooting 43% from the three. That's more than Jaylen Brown that's shooting 34.7%, more than Sam Hauser that's shooting 39.3%. I think this complements the Celtics very good because you'll get a combination. You'll have a starting five of Jamal Murray, Derek White, Cam Johnson, Jason Tatum, and Kata. Now, you have the bench that you have to look at. Maybe you can make some more trades to beef up your bench. But that's a starting five that I would go with and, compete with anybody in the NBA. How do you feel about that?
Brandon, I thank you for the call. And I'm a big Jamal Murray fan. I like his game. In 2016, I was on these airwaves saying, that I wish that the Celtics had picked Jamal Murray in the draft over Jaylen Brown. I hadn't gotten acquainted with Jaylen Brown yet, as I have been since. There's a bit of fantasy hoops attached to your take on the trade, just like running numbers. Obviously, Cam Johnson was a much better player with the Nets before he went to the Nuggets, and then he didn't really work out for the Nuggets the way that they expected him to, but I still like the player. Obviously, I like him a lot more than Sam Hauser. I am so out on Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser should have been gone last year, and that's no affront to say, well, maybe it is, but he's just making too much money for a guy who does one thing, and he's not even doing that well anymore. You got a guy now in Baylor Shireman who could replace him, or, to the caller's point, you go and you throw him in a trade and see what you get back. The problem with Jamal Murray is he's always hurt. And so even on its face, and again, as a huge Jaylen Brown fan, would I entertain upgrading from Sam Hauser to maybe you can get Sam Hauser for Cameron Johnson straight up. because the Nuggets Johnson experience didn't go all that well, and because Sam Hauser is clearly just done in Boston. I expect that to be one of the first things that Brad Stevens addresses. But Jamal Murray just too injury prone for me. I mean, you look at his game totals, and 2021, 48 games. And I believe they played a full 82-game schedule that year. That was after the COVID year. The year before, he was 59 out of, 70? So he missed 11 games. 2023, 65. 2024, 59. 2025, 67. 2026, an all-star for the first time in his career, 75 games. I don't think you need to move on from Hauser. I don't think that's like the Celtics or the Red Sox when they traded Mookie Betts so they could get rid of David Price. I don't think you do that. I like the idea of having another ball handler out there. And Jamal Murray, he's a great player, but I just don't think you do that for Jaylen Brown. And maybe the idea with Brandon is you're trying to switch up the dynamic, right? Instead of the two wings, which everybody says doesn't work, Kawhi and Paul George didn't work, and you've got other examples of that. I guess Jordan and Pippen wasn't necessarily a two-wing situation because Pippen was kind of like a point guard in a small forward's body, and plus you had Michael Jordan, which is just a trump card. But yeah, if you're talking trades, these are the things that I will turn over and chew on and look at, right? I just don't think there's anything where it's like that's the answer. And it's certainly not the big shiny Giannis in the room. Just because he's the buzziest name does not make him right here. And there's going to be other names like a Sabonis. Like I said, it's just not going to be right here. 617-779-0985. Kyle, I see you on hold. We do have to pay some bills here. We'll take a quick break. Be right back on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Long here, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Summer of 98, Harvey Danger, flagpole sitter. Not sick, but I'm not well. And some might say that about me. I'm Sean Sylver, Jeff Williams alongside. He's the DJ, I'm the rapper, as the Fresh Prince DJ Jazzy Jeff album once said. Talking to Jeff, we're gonna get this together. We're gonna podcast together. We're gonna talk some 90s hits. I think it's just inevitable. It has to happen. But yeah, we're talking Celtics. We will be talking Patriots next, so I expect the phone lines to light up. But I do have a call on for Kyle and Wareham, and it's a Celtics related call. So let's get to Kyle. Kyle, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, sir? Happy Sunday. Thanks for taking my call.
Happy Sunday to you at the gateway to Cape Cod.
Oh, man, yeah. Hey, I got 2 points. My first point is Celtics bench. I think Amari Williams should have gotten more playing time in the series against the Sixers just for the height of Embiid. So it feels like Joe Mazzulla picks like 8 guys in the playoffs and like that's it. But like it's also like a hierarchy of salary cap the way that they see the floor. So it's tough to watch there. But I do expect him to be most improved from last year to this upcoming year.
Amari Williams, you expect?
Yeah, Amari Williams, yeah. But I get too much flack because he's like a Red Claw. Oh, he's just from Maine. But, like, I think he's got a lot of potential. And if you look back, he actually helped win us a buzzer beater in versus the Nets early in the season. Like, one of those Joe Mazzulla, like, mastermind plays where he, like, subs them in, subs them out, like, sets a screen, and someone made, like, an opening three. So,
sure. Kyle, just if I could ask you about him specifically, where do you see him, like, if he's going to be the most improved player on the Celtics roster next year? Where do you see him getting those minutes? Who's going to...
The Celtics have a tough time understanding, like, 5-4-3-2-1 position-wise, because they, like, Kata's finally a 5. But the problem is that we've always struggled is we've never had a 5-4 until last year when we won it, when Kristaps was 5, Al Horford was 4. Before that, we tried winning with the strategy that Al Horford was a 5, and that never works. And even in Florida, when he won with the Gators, Joakim Noah was his 5. Yep. So the process of like actual positional basketball is something we have to go back to.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there is a fair share of position-less basketball being played around the NBA. I mean,
true.
That's the idea.
Just to pick the high screens and the picks on how you could. Just to see some of the high screen pick always like ruins the 5, but something to look forward to.
Yeah, well, and just question for you. I mean, it sounds like Amari Williams is like your roster guy who's here now, who you think might give you any more. I mean, what do you see happening to the team, like around the edges here, or do you see like a major move?
Well, so my question is about the narrative for the Giannis trade. Like, I appreciate and would enjoy Giannis on the team, but I'm hoping there's a way to get trade Pritchard and White, save Jalen, save Jason, bring in Giannis off of we have so many other caliber players like Hugo and like Luka Garza. Yeah. There's got to be some other combination that can get it done for Giannis. I know we have picks there just seems to be the Pritchard and then Derek White are upside potential for a roster like the Bucks that you're going to lose Giannis, but a star caliber player is going to lopside you for a while. So you might as well just build correctly with a whole bunch of players who want it, All
right, Kyle. I appreciate you taking the time to give us a call, and I appreciate you taking some feedback and running with it from me. I mean, I just don't know if you have the combination of players otherwise. I mean, Jeff, if you're the Milwaukee Bucks and you say, hey, we'll give you Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, and some draft picks. I mean, it's going to take a haul. It's going to take some team getting stupid.
Oh, that's not a comparative haul for a 2-time MVP. What are we doing here?
And I love Derek White, and but it is what it is. He's a guy who he was asked to do a little more this year. And he responded in a lot of areas, but the shooting was not. He wasn't able. He didn't get the same number of spot-up attempts that he's used to getting. He was converting those, and he just never really managed to fix his shot after it got broken. Plus, he's in his early 30s. Peyton Pritchard's a nice player, but he is what he is. The Celtics I don't think that you can put together a combination of pieces. Let's be real here. This is the same Milwaukee Bucks team that made a stupid trade for Damian Lillard. So they're going to be looking for some other team to get stupid with them. There's always somebody out there. You know, you're leaving the bar, it's closing time. There's always somebody out there, right? Jeff nods.
No comment.
Oh, man. But yeah, like Mikal Bridges went for 5 first-round picks. I don't expect like that happening again, you know. But that's Mikal Bridges, who's a very good player. But you know, even if Giannis is older, is seeing some injury problems, again, there's always somebody who's going to be dumb. It's not going to be Giannis in Boston. It's not happening, folks, unless it's Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. And it's not going to be Jason Tatum. Gasper said, and I think he used a great term, his sphere of influence. Jason Tatum, for whatever reason, and I think everybody kind of knows this, ever since he got here, he has been he was the anointed that first training camp, and maybe it's the Duke pedigree or what, but it was instantly clear that Jason Tatum was going to be the future of this team from his arrival. And that's even in the throes of Gordon Hayward being here and Kyrie Irving being here. And Jaylen Brown never had that. Jaylen Brown's progression was more linear and slow. And, you know, you get that comment about 2019, right? Like, him going to Tracy McGrady and for some counsel at that time. And thank you, T-Mac, for telling him to stay the course and stay here, because there have been NBA players who have left a situation for less, right? But yeah, you know, he grew, and then it was 2021 by the time that like Jaylen Brown was really like, oh shoot, wow, we really have something here. This isn't just a complimentary player. We really have something here. That was 4+ seasons that it took to get to that point. Jason Tatum, you know, again, he wasn't slaying the world as a rookie, but it was a little more apparent, I guess. He was able to jump right into that rotation and, you know, dunks on LeBron. I don't know. It's a lot of time. Hey, I was talking about this with a friend about Britney Spears the other day, trying to get Jeff's attention. Saying Britney Spears. I expected the ears to perk up. But, like, was Britney Spears the leader of the, like, 1990s, like, teen pop revolution because she's Britney Spears, or was because she was first out of that group of young women, right? Like, Christina Aguilera was next. Jessica Simpson was after that. There was Mandy Moore around the edges, right? She was great. She was also first. Jason Tatum was kind of, you know, he had its timing. He had the Duke thing. He had moments like the LeBron dunk, and there were just things that were happening for Jason Tatum in college and early in his time with the Celtics where it became apparent that that's what we were looking at, and Jaylen Brown just didn't have those quite at the magnitude that Jason Tatum did. I don't know, Jeff, what your opinion is on Britney Spears' ascendance, but
it's true.
There.
She was the first.
Right. So
was she the most talented? I don't think so.
No, like if Aguilera was first with Genie in the Bottle, like is that the thing is she the one that we talk about the most? It's still.
I mean, it was always like Britney was a 1A and Christina was 1B, really.
Right. But does it flip? You know, if Christina is the first one, if that record is the first one to drop, I don't know. You know, but I guess this is all just to say, it's all about timing.
It's basically Stone Cold and The Rock. That's what it is.
Yeah.
They both dominated at the same time.
Well, they did. They did, but I feel like, I don't know, Jeff, I feel like to wrestling fans, as we go from teen pop to Attitude Era wrestling, I feel like to wrestling fans, Stone Cold Steve Austin is thought of as the 1A to The Rock.
No, I would agree with you on that. I would put that as 1A, 1B.
Yeah. But there's, I don't know if it's because The Rock, you know, but Austin retired early too. You know, I think because he had the Austin 316 speech at King of the Ring after he beat Jake the Snake Roberts. He had the feud with Bret the Hitman Hart and, you know, the double turn and stuff, while The Rock was still they were trying to run him out there as Rocky Maivia, and then, you know, they put him in the Nation of Domination and they took off. Like, Austin had the timing down. he became a pop culture sensation. The Rock became a pop culture sensation too, but it was always kind of shilling to Pedro for me. And it was always kind of, then when he became a crossover superstar, it was not because of his wrestling. It was because of apparently the guy could act too. So, I don't know. So Jason Tatum, we've just said here, Jason Tatum is Britney Spears, is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Jaylen Brown is Christina Aguilera, is The Rock. I think we have made this a theory. I would love to hear your take on that at 617-779-0985. That's my last word on the Celtics for today, unless you want to jump in. I will be transitioning to Patriots schedule talk. Whoopee. Everybody jump on board. We got some headlines coming up in a few. We'll get you up to date on the PGA Championship, on the Red Sox, and be right back with you.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
right now. 7-0 in the top of the 7th. Brian Bayo got his clock cleaned, and the Sox have not generated any offense on this afternoon. They are working on now their this 10-game stretch here where they've only scored 21 runs and don't seem to be adding to it anytime soon. So not too good for the Boston Red Sox. PGA Championship going on right now, and we've got some traffic up at the top here. Through 6 holes, Matt Schmid, the German, is 6 under. He has the lead. Justin Thomas has finished his round. He's 5 under for the tournament. But also tied with him, Cameron Smith and Nick Taylor. They're both still out on the court. Nick Taylor, the Canadian, getting involved. At 4 under, Rory McIlroy. John Rahm is back there. I mean, it's a party. This thing ain't over yet at the PGA Championship. Let's see. Pistons Cavs Game 7 is tonight. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, back-to-back MVPs in the NBA. Stanley Cup playoffs. Sabres beat the Habs last night. They got a Game 7 coming up tomorrow night. The Revs winners last night at Minnesota. PGA Championship. Yes, that's right. I already did that one. Whatever. We don't need to go back to that. Sports Up headlines are brought to you by... Do I have the right one? Come on, Sean. I got it. The 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock is DN Van Lines. They're going to do the Department of Defense thing. Yeah. Take the chance out of your move. Make the sure bet with DN Van Lines. They're an approved mover of the Department of Defense. I always think that's just hella impressive. DNVanlines.com. I'm Sean Sylver, Boston Over Sports, 98.5 The Sports Up. Next update? Well, whatever.
Attack for a deep 3. Violent two-hand slam. Wow.
98.5 The Sports Hub. The Celtics, the Patriots, the Sox, the Revs, and you. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Open wide for some soccer. World Cup's coming, Jeff. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I'm kind of kidding. I was going to switch to Patriots, but this is happening real soon. We've got 7 matches down in Foxborough. It's going to be...
God bless anybody going.
That's a part of the state that I live in. I won't get into specifics about where exactly I live. You could probably Google that if you cared, because everything's online these days, right? But yeah, that's going to be a mess. I've got friends who are like, "Hey, you should rent out your driveway, and you could shuttle people over to the game. Think about the money that you'll make." And I'm just like, that is not. And I am a cheap person. I'm an opportunist when it comes to making small amounts of cash. Even any size amount of cash is appealing to me. I could not be bothered to do that. It would take a significant price for me to have a bunch of bozos and nut jobs parking in my driveway, and then me in my pickup truck shuttling them over to Gillette Stadium. But yeah, June 11th, June 11th, the World Cup starts up. June 13th, Haiti versus Scotland. And, if you haven't gotten enough soccer, you got the Revs revving it up right now. 2nd place in the Eastern Conference. When's the last time that happened? Like probably 5 years ago, right? Bruce Arena was still here. The Revs are on fire. The Legacy playing well. Again, I will plug the Legacy any opportunity. They're going to be playing at White Stadium next year. They're actually going to be playing out of Rhode Island for the few weeks that the World Cup is going on, because they'll be booted out of Gillette by the World Cup activities. Remember, it's Boston Stadium for a few weeks or a month or whatever amount of time that it is. But yeah, it's a good soccer summer. It'll be fun. I mean, I don't know, Jeff, like what 94 was like to you, but like, were you at all like into the fact there was a World Cup in America or anything? Or?
No, not really. I wasn't. Yeah. I was just getting into sports, but I wasn't like fully into it as I am now. But I do remember like the whole hubbub about, hey, there's World Cup matches going on in Foxborough.
Yeah. I remember I knew some people who had like tickets to go and sit in those metal bleachers and enjoy themselves on a hot summer day. And then, the U.S. got into the they advanced and they got beat by Brazil, which, no shame in that. But yeah, I wasn't really on to soccer at that point. I remember the '98 World Cup in France kind of got me. I was into that. That was fun. But yeah, maybe I'll be getting into it again, because God knows, it ain't going to be the Red Sox this summer, folks. It's going to have to come from somewhere else. You like Lax, you got the Cannons, you got the Boston Guard playing their inaugural season right now. I was looking around. I was like, what else can I get into for Boston? The Cape League schedule is going to be starting up in a couple of weeks. I'll probably get down to a couple of those games. Go YD Red Sox. Get them back to the finals maybe this year, maybe win this time. We got Mark in Southie. Oh, yeah. NBA MVPs. So let's go, Mark. What do you got?
Hello, Sean. You read about the legacy, though, playing at White Stadium. I'm not the biggest Michelle Wu fan, but I mean, putting the legacy at White Stadium is going to be nice. Okay, but is there going to be another U.S.-born player to win the MVP in the next 10 years in the NBA?
I mean, I guess my question back to you, Mark, would be, why not?
Who? I mean, you got Doncic, you got Wemby. You have. They're going to give one to Doncic. Yeah, I mean, they even let these guys who don't play 65 games a season just to give. I don't know if they're doing that just to bust Jaylen Brown's chops, but to get him on. But you got Wemby. He might win. I just can't see the American. I just can't see the American going to do it. Okay. I just can't get. I mean, Jokic won it 3 out of 4 years in a row. Then you got Giannis won 2.
Okay.
I just can't see it. Who was the last? James Harden was the last American to win the MVP.
Ugh, and yeah, you can have your opinions about James Harden, and is that the kind of player we want representing American basketball? But yeah,
that's right, boy. Too, like you say, you get SGA the ones back to back. Then you got that. You get Jokic, Embiid, Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You got some great players. I mean, Wemby's going to win a couple.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think it's a great question, Mark, and I appreciate the call. I'll give you this as my answer. So, for one thing, nothing's guaranteed with Victor Wembanyama. So, like my son, right? He's 8. He's got into hoops a lot this last year, in particular. And we went to the Basketball Hall of Fame for his 8th birthday. We went to Springfield, had a good time. And Will knows that my favorite player of all time is Dikembe Mutombo. So, and he, my son really digs like playing defense, blocking shots, all that stuff. So he's just like, yeah, Dikembe Mutombo's awesome. I'm like, that's great, because, you love it when your son can embrace a player that you loved. But he'll say to me, like, hey, Dad, I know Dikembe Mutombo won 4 NBA Defensive Player of the Year awards, but and he's in the Hall of Fame, but was he better than Victor Wembanyama? And I'm like, well, son, if Victor Wembanyama continues like this, then, he'll probably go down as one of the greatest players of all time. But, we just don't know. Like, offensively, sure, like Wembanyama is way better than Dikembe Mutombo ever was. Like, defensively, he's clearly setting a pace to, meet him there. But we just don't know what's going to happen. And, you talk about a 7'5" body. I mean, Yao Ming played 10 years in the league. Was he effective for all 10 of them? No. You think about it, 7'4", like Ralph Sampson. The 86 Celtics played the Twin Towers, Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon. Olajuwon's in the Hall of Fame. Sampson at the time was considered the better player and promptly fell off the face of the earth because he's 7'4" and his body betrayed him. So we don't know that Victor Wembanyama is going to win 6 MVPs. We have no clue. And to the point, we're talking about over the next 10 years, I think absolutely there's going to be an American basketball player who wins an MVP. It may not be someone who's in the league right now, but, that's not the question. Why not A.J. DeBonsa, right? Boston-born, could be the number 1 pick. I don't know. Maybe he'll win an MVP. There's a candidate right there. So that's a long time. I think we've hit a weird point with American basketball, and this happens every now and then, where the rest of the world kind of catches up a little bit, and Yeah, like look at when the Team USA, couldn't win the gold in 04. At the Olympics, and then they had the Redeem team, and they figured it all out. Like there's little lulls in American basketball, high-end elite talent, and it'll all come out in the wash. There will be more of them again, unless they keep teaching this flopping crap, and everybody's going to be James Harden or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is basically American. He's just from America's hat. Lovely place, the Great White North. 617-779-0985. I love America's hat, by the way. Canada's a wonderful place. I just got a text from one of my best friends in Edmonton just a few minutes ago. So, Edmonton in the house.
Some good people up there.
Good people up there. Great. Salt of the earth. Put that salt on your snowbanks and you'll be getting somewhere. Yeah. Wow. I've managed to postpone Patriot Talks through another segment. Let's line that up next here at 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
98.5, the Sports Hub. Going till 5 o'clock. Sean Sylver here. Jeff Williams as well. Taking your calls at 617-779-0985. Had a comment on X at the Sylver Fox. Sylver with a Y. Who was it? Let me pull this up here. Kevin says, Cooper Flagg will have a chance at NBA MVP. I don't know, folks. Let's crib some Joe Murray stuff here. In or out on Cooper Flagg as an eventual NBA MVP? Jeff.
I've seen Steve Nash win back-to-back. I mean, anything's possible when it comes to the MVP.
True, but you know what? I'm going to go with out. I don't know. He's a great player. Is he a transcendent player? We'll find out. I mean, maybe, he's just a 2020s version of Tom Gugliotta. I don't know yet. I don't know. Not going to hate on the guy from Maine. I know everybody and their uncle was down from, they were coming down to check out the game at TD Garden. Wound up seeing Jason Tatum's return. I was at, that night, I was at Dan Soder at the Wilbur. There were no Macho Man impersonations.
Let's say dueling Macho Man.
We actually did that back in 2020. When Joe Murray did Just Sitting Here, his podcast, me and Dan Soder came on and did a macho off one night. I don't know. I mean, Dan Soder's a professional. He's actually funny, right? I'm just a part-time radio guy who some people think sounds like Macho Man Randy Savage, so I was trying to be funny. I don't know if anything landed, but Dan was awesome.
I love the story that Dan tells about him playing with wrestling action figures till he was like 14, but he was also smoking cigarettes at the time.
Yes. I believe that came out. Yeah. That came out. He ended with, his grandma passed away, right? And he was talking about, how sometimes you go in somebody's house and they've got an urn, right? There's some ashes from the deceased relative that's around there, and I forget exactly. I want to get this right. So he's cleaning out, his grandmother's house, and he's about done. He's there with his cousin, and they're at the end, and they're just about to leave, and all of a sudden the cousin goes, "Oh, what's with that vase on top of the bookcase there?" And what was it? So they take the lid off the vase, and they find out that it's actually an urn, right? There's some ashes up in there, and apparently, as someone who has not stored ashes, I've not been put in this position yet. I know that some of my peers may have been in that position, but on the underside of the lid, I guess there's usually a label, and the underside of the label said that it was the dog. So I was just like, the dog's ashes are in here. And then, the label was kind of not affixed all the way. So they kind of peeled it back a little more, and underneath it was Dan Soder's dad. So the thought was, and then again, I'm not pulling this off with Dan Soder's timing, but the thought was that, his dad was not great, but the dog was awesome, and all dogs go to heaven. So you mix the ashes, maybe try and sneak them in. I don't know. It was brutal. That was the closing line. It was fantastic. It was a good night. Went with my cousin Jim. But yeah, we were watching the Cooper Flagg, Jason Tatum comeback game. I think we wound up at, what's that place? I don't want to get it wrong. Is it Ground Round or Rock Bottom? What's
Rock Bottom?
Rock Bottom. I was going to say, what is the very 90s? All right, Rock Bottom.
We were right next door to the Wilbur. Right?
Yeah, we were at Rock Bottom next to the Wilbur. It's just this works. But yeah, Cooper Flagg is MVP. I mean, maybe. I'm going to go with out on that. But yeah, this week, notable because we got, some news on, I guess, the sports team that hasn't, well, at least the team hasn't disappointed us within the last few months, not since early February. The New England Patriots schedule rolled out. And I saw a clip on 98.5 Instagram page this week of Maz just going off about the NFL schedule. And I got to, A, that clip is great. I got to dig for that. B, I 1,000% agree with Maz. I mean, it's probably no surprise, I'm not a Sean Sylver football genius over here, nor do I care to be necessarily. But it's just like the fact that the NBA's got to horn in on everything and be on 5 days a week some weeks or 6 days a week in some applications. Just, I get it. Yeah, you're the biggest show going, but you can kind of get over yourself and make this easy for fans. Make it easy for fans, please. I mean, isn't the government looking into the fact that, because this is 2026, the government's looking into why these games are on so many different streaming platforms. But yeah, I'm just NFL schedule release. Just give me the damn thing. Just give it to me. Just give me the thing, and then I can digest it. You don't need to make a show out of it. I know Zolak and Bertrand had that guy Max St. John on. He's like, well, the opening weeks of the year, we're telling stories, pursuant to the previous playoff slate. And then by the middle of the year, some of these storylines start to unveil themselves. And it's just like, what are you booking for WWE here, dude? It's the NFL. Just give me the schedule. I don't need the dribbles and the leaks. And I certainly don't need you on the eve of any holiday. I will find plenty of things to do. You know what you can do, NFL? You know what you can do? You can pop up and do something for me, in mid-May when my hockey team and my basketball team are eliminated and my baseball team stinks. That's what I'd appreciate. And just give it to me. Give me the whole cookie. I don't want bites. Give me the cookie. I saw the schedule release videos. Jeff, I don't know, if that's something you're into. Is it something where maybe you watched a few, or did you watch 20 of them? Where are you at?
I watched a few. I really liked the Jets, the paint mixing one, actually, because I like those videos.
So from a is this a ASMR type perspective or something? Where
yeah. So it's like that. And
relaxing.
They mix the paints together to make that one color, and it was the team that they were playing that week.
Yes. So Barth tweeted this out, and he seemed very confused by it. I watched it, and I was just like, okay, that's nice. But is it I know there's a thing where people watching lawn care videos and stuff, because it's just the result is very satisfying. You get what you came for, right? So that's. I
love watching lawn cleanups.
So, see, I thought that was good. Because it was, everyone's trying to be edgy and ironic and sarcastic and, or just put the dumbest people on display that you possibly can because it's funny to watch dumb people. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like watching a lot of police cam videos too.
Yeah. Dumb people are funny. The cops is, a reason that it's still a part of. It's still on somewhere to this day, right? I saw the Colts Simpsons one. I think that was very smart. At first, I was kind of worried that it was going to be all AI or something. It was what are we do? Did we get the actual? Because everything now, I look at everything so skeptically. It's did you get the actual Simpsons artist to do this, or did you do AI for this? Because I'm just no AI, please.
Did you see that picture that's been circulating online of it's Hogan, Flair, and I can't remember who else is in that picture, but it's them from 1981. But you look at it and you're this looks like this could be AI generated. I don't know if this is a real picture.
Really? Okay,
I'll have to find it and I'll show you.
I've seen some pictures of wrestlers. I've seen a lot of pictures of wrestlers that are clearly AI generated, but I can't look at anything anymore. Anything that could potentially be new or recently uncovered, footage or whatever, without thinking that it might be AI. It's just a screwed up way to live. I'm going to have to figure out how to navigate my kids through this. I'm I'm just jittery as hell trying to process AI content right now. But yeah, the Colt Simpsons one was good because they picked out clips from the Simpsons that were utterly appropriate. I appreciate that. It was a bit derivative, just like the Jets painting one. Obviously, we all love Bob Sosey here. Jeff, you see the Patriots one?
No, I didn't actually.
Okay, so it was dogs. It was like a video of
oh yes, I did actually.
A video of good boys and girls, and I feel like after the off season that they've had, you kind of can't be a part of that other camp. You can't go like making fun of other teams or anything like that. I think they played it about as well as you could play it right there. Just put some cute dogs on there, and there you go. You're defending AFC champions. You don't have anything to prove. Like, leave it to the Dolphins or somebody to go out there and make an engaging. Not engaging. You know what I mean? Like a cutting or incisive, I guess would be the word. Schedule release video. The Patriots can just it can be rated PG. And we can have some cute dogs. That's good. We don't have to shock anybody with anything. But yeah, there's some stuff about this schedule that I don't know. Like, I know they were good enough last year to do what they had to do to get to the Super Bowl, but it was like last season was like the ultimate like found money season ever. Just you put your hand in that coat that hasn't been out since last fall, and all of a sudden, boom, there's like a 20 in there, or a 50, or 100 in there with the way that the Patriots season went. You talk about the Celtics having an easy road to the finals in 2024, like, good grief. And I mean, yes, I've looked at both sides of the argument, and I understand it. It wasn't just all an easy schedule. The Patriots proved something last year. They really did. But now you have a clean slate. And what happened last year doesn't matter. What you built last year matters, if it's still intact. If if you have the continuity and the health at those positions, and maybe you're building with some of the positions, or maybe you're making some tweaks, like, say, Jared Wilson moving over to center, right? Maybe that just improves the overall health of your offensive line, potentially. Obviously, A.J. Brown would be a huge upgrade, and then you have questions about, okay, well, what about these other receivers who actually stepped up? I mean, are you worried about that because you've got A.J. Brown now all of a sudden, or, are there certain ones that you would keep or certain ones that you would get rid of? The Patriots, obviously last year was fun. Obviously, last year should be instructive to that generally young roster, and roster made up of just a lot of pieces that came together and were cohesive, much like the Jets' palette of paint. Made a nice color by the end of the season. But yeah, this year, I don't know. I'm no analyst, right? I'm no analyst, but again, everybody's got an opinion on this stuff. Everybody's run through the record. Jeff, do you have a prediction based on looking at the schedule?
I'm thinking like 10, 11 wins.
Yeah, and that seems generally I think 10 is the number I hear the most. I could be more critical, and I could just see a way with these road games. Like, again, this team was unbeaten on the road last year. That is extremely rare. That's historic. But when you look at last year's road schedule and the fact that, as Jake Seymour said earlier this afternoon, as probably a million other people have reminded us, they didn't cross the Mississippi River. Like, you're starting in Seattle. Right off the bat, boom.
On a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday, yes, because that's when I want to be watching football. On a Wednesday. And, then out of those first 4 games, I'm not saying the Jacksonville Jaguars are world beaters or anything, but they're a playoff team. You got them week 3, and you got the Bills on the road week 4. So as opposed to last September, where you didn't exactly stick the landing, you lost to the Raiders, but you were at Foxborough more last fall, in the early fall, and may have contributed, I guess, to just kind of grounding you a little bit at the start of this new era. With this, you're starting off on the road, and you got all these freaking primetime games, and you got the weird stuff coming up, like playing internationally. The Patriots, I've heard different things, but I saw one graphic that said they had the third most miles traveled of any team. I mean, that's crazy. And you really only have just like your conference game, your division games in Oakland. And like, are you saying Pittsburgh's even a gimme? There's not that many gimme games this year. The Patriots found out a way to win against the teams that they needed to beat. They found a way to win games against, they were challenged by some teams that you didn't think necessarily were all that good, but Patriots found a way to win those games. They just kept doing it. I don't think you can expect the same level of conversion in year two, unless like the whole entire Mike Vrabel era is just going to be, we're going to win road games habitually. We're going to win close games habitually. We're going to play up and beat teams that we're not supposed to beat. We're going to take care of plucky teams that are trying to beat us from underneath. No, you're the, not to use the cliche, right? But like the opposite of the Celtics this year. The Celtics went into being the hunter this year, and that mode suited them well for the regular season. The Patriots now the hunted. And like listening to Gasper the other day on Felger and Maz, I think they asked him, like, where do you have this roster in the league? And he said, like, I don't know, 12th, 13th. Is that a 10-win team? And I guess, like thinking how many teams make the playoffs, that's probably about a 9 or 10-win team from a talent perspective. I just think there's a lot to prove out there, even coming off of a Super Bowl appearance. And teams take steps back all the time. Like, look at the 2002 Pats coming off of that, win of a Super Bowl. Took a step back and didn't make the playoffs. It's inevitable. I think it will be fascinating to see how they, as a unit, react not only to the stuff that's been going on off-season wise, but just react to the fact that they're in a different standing this year in the minds of other teams. And the schedule just reflects that. The schedule makers have reflected that. They've got a tough road ahead of them. So it'll be fun at least. I don't know if it'll be like, ha-ha funny or like a different kind of funny, but we'll see. 617-779-0985. Sean Sylver. Just a few more minutes left here on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Is foot pain keeping you from living?
about you, but I'm feeling strangely fine as we depart here this afternoon on the Sports Hub. Sean Sylver, Jeff Williams, we've been with you for the last 2 hours and 45 minutes. If you can imagine, that kind of went quick. I mean, I felt like a lot of this, I was just kind of monologuing on whatever crazy thing I had going on in my head. Yeah, I see your nod, Jeff. It's like, yes, Sylver, you're unhinged, but I'm here to support that.
You're not the most unhinged person at this station. I mean,
that's
we're
true.
All a little crazy.
That's true. To
be in this business in this day and age.
Yeah, I guess I'm a special kind of crazy. So hopefully you appreciate the special blend that we bring to you on a Sunday afternoon, because we're doing it again next weekend. Jim Louth will take your complaints. But I'm watching his PGA here. I'm seeing a lot of balls like getting hit out of bounds. So I'm just like, okay, who's going to try the hardest to choke this thing away here? That's always a fun thing to watch at majors. The Red Sox have gone final. They didn't get shut out. They put a run across in the ninth. And you know what's kind of funny is they got more hits as I look at the box score. They got more hits than the Braves in this game. But yeah, 8-1 losers. They have fallen to a season record of 19-26. Or is it 27 now? Should they have updated that? This is the thing. When games go final, it's just like, wait a minute. I thought the Red Sox had 26 losses when I looked at their... Yeah, 19-27. There we go. Bring it up on Google. Google's got it to the minute. ESPN hasn't updated it yet. Shame on you, ESPN, with your resources. But the Red Sox, 19-27. Yes, they have ruined our summer, and it's not even summer yet. I mean, Memorial Day weekend coming up around the corner here. And I just... I've had some time to come down from the Alex Cora firing. And it just, to me, it was so unique. And it's absolutely a distress signal. The first mid-season departure of a Red Sox manager since 2001, Jimmy Williams. I remember exactly where I was when I got that news. I was probably a couple weeks before I went away to college. It was in August. I was landscaping. That was my summer job. I was pulling English ivy off of a rock wall. If any of you have ever tried to pull, English ivy away from anything, it's difficult work. And I had a radio with me, and I was taking a break on the side of the road where I was working by this rock wall and just sipping on a bottle of water, probably putting all kinds of PFAS into my bloodstream. And Jimmy Williams was canned. And, he had been a good manager with the Red Sox and out. And this is the first time in 25 years. We've seen some awkward departures for managers, certainly. Francona departure, but at least they let him get through the season. And I don't know. I don't think Alex Cora was the right fit here for a lot of reasons. I saved my show notes in Google Docs. So I had it. I found my Google Doc from 2024, I think. And I think it was maybe Matt McCarthy and I or somebody. When the Sox gave him that extension, he was managing in 2024. He was running. They were kind of a gimmicky team. He was managing like he was auditioning for another job. And then the Red Sox said, oh, hey, we'll give you an extension. And he happily took that money. And I feel like there were all these rumors about things that he was dissatisfied with, but he happily took that money and hung around here. And I don't know, everybody's saying that basically Alex Bregman was the manager last year and that it was a crying shame that Breslow didn't go out and spend, a 9-figure contract on that guy that would take him to age 37, a guy who's hitting 256 and is on pace for 14 homers and 50 RBI this year with the Cubs. The departure of Alex Bregman was a crying shame. Not because of his performance, Because clearly he's not the player, not even close to the player he was in 2019. Again, 256, 14, and 50. That's what he's on track for right now with the Cubs. I'm sure that if you talk to a Chicagoan, they love that deal. You'd be bitching about him just as you are with these other players right now who aren't hitting. If Breslow had opened the pocketbook for him. But he didn't. He has missed opportunities here. There have been moments where he has failed. But I think this, honestly, I think Cora was on autopilot here and he needed to go. I think that Breslow has had some flaws in his execution for sure. But we pretty much universally agreed that he had I don't know where you saw it, Jeff, but the offseason for Breslow, I was thinking a B minus. He missed the big move, right? But he made some solid moves. It was an okay offseason.
He made some good moves in regards to pitching, but he didn't give anything to the offense at all.
He got Contreras, which replaced an Abraham Toro, who was playing first base last year for them. So, he missed the big move. They needed another big righty bat in that lineup. They didn't get it. But I think we all thought that this team was going to compete. And clearly they weren't ready to under Cora. But the more I think about this, it's, again, you can look into a sports debacle, right? And you can tune the lens on a lot of different areas here. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, it's like when you look at those binoculars that look out over, a big mountain view or a waterway, right? And you can look around with those things. And I think ultimately again, just like Brad Stevens isn't going to be suddenly leaving the Celtics if you disagree with them shooting too many threes, John Henry isn't selling the team. There's basically nothing you can do to change that. But their organizational philosophy has always been kind of all over the place. Think about it. Historically here. 03, it was all hands on deck to win a championship, right? But we had closer by committee going on. 04, they got it right. 05, they dumped everybody. 07, you got some young guys who fill in the gaps. You win another World Series after the 06 train wreck and Memorial Day massacre and all that stuff. 08, 09, 2010. Theo Epstein's being asked to spend more money. He's clearly uncomfortable with some of these signings here. And that's what everybody wants, is the Red Sox to make more signings. And by 2011, all of that blows up. And then they're gone. And then 2012, you bring Bobby V. In 2013, John Farrell unites the team. In 2014, it blows up again. 2015, you bring in Pablo and Hanley. 2016, you're signing David Price. A course correction for losing John Lester 2 years earlier. And then Dombrowski's signing everybody, and you got some young guys there, and you win a...
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.